Hello, happy Wednesday. This is Wednesday Coffee with me, Pastor Justin. It is Wednesday, April the 1st, 2026. No fooling. It is also my son's 9th birthday today. Happy birthday, Gabriel. We love you very much. And friends, it is Holy Week. We are moving into the events of Maundy Thursday, Good Friday, looking forward to a blessed time together on Easter Sunday this week. But this past Sunday, Palm Sunday, I talked a little bit about donkeys, and we didn't have a literal donkey make the procession with the kids on Sunday morning. We did that a couple of years ago. I think we were a little anxious about what might end up on the floor if we did that. Nothing like that happened, fortunately, but we decided not to go that route again this year. But we did talk about donkeys. And as I was thinking about that, I remembered one of my favorite sermons of my father's that he preached several decades ago, a sermon, a Palm Sunday sermon, where he started with donkeys and discovered something really interesting. So I'm not going to preach the whole sermon here today, but I thought I might just share with you a part of his message here, talking about donkeys in the Bible. All right, he said, the Bible is full of donkey stories. And he said, it occurred to me that I might build a happy, uplifting Palm Sunday message by looking at some of those stories. So I set out to try to find every donkey passage in the Bible, which was more difficult back then than probably it would be now with some of the technological resources that we have. He said, when I did, you will not believe what happened. As I read, slowly, a very strange pattern began to emerge. Listen to this, Genesis 22. So Abraham rose early in the morning, saddled his donkey, took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac. An innocent ram appeared in the thicket, and he was killed in Isaac's place. Numbers 22, so Balaam rose in the morning and saddled his donkey and went with the princes of Moab, and later the tribe of Israel slew Balaam with the sword. 1 Samuel 25, Abigail mounted her donkey and rode to King David, where she betrayed her husband Nabal, and she returned to Nabal, and when he heard the news, he died. 2 Samuel 17, when Ahithophel, David's counselor, saw that his advice was not followed, he saddled his donkey and went home. He set his house in order and hanged himself and died. 1 Kings 2, Shimei rose and saddled his donkey and went to seek his slaves, and Solomon was angry, and he sent Benaiah to find Shimei, and Benaiah went out and found Shimei and struck him down, and he died. 1 Kings 13, a donkey was saddled for the old prophet from Judah. And as he rode away, a lion met him on the road and killed him, and the lion and the donkey stood beside his body. And my dad said, whoa, wait a minute here. What in the world is going on? Enough of this. He said, I did not expect to find this. The donkey is a peaceable animal, right? Not given to violence. And yet, almost every time in the Bible that somebody gets on a donkey to ride, something or somebody dies. Donkey's a strange harbinger of death in the Bible. We see that again and again. And he said toward the end of his survey, every time he found a scripture about a donkey, he flinched, wondering, who or what was going to die next. Well, let me give you just one more from the Gospel of John. Fear not, daughter of Zion. Behold, your king is coming, sitting on a donkey. And they took him to the place of the skull, which is called in Hebrew Golgotha. And there they crucified him. Well, two things I think become clear here. Number one, it will be a cold day in Hades before I get on a donkey again. And second is that Jesus knew. Jesus knew. He knew Zechariah 9:9. He was aware of this pattern, right, that we've seen throughout history and throughout Scripture. If he got on that donkey, he knew that he wasn't just going to receive, the waving palm fronds and the celebration and the adulation and the praise. He was going to receive betrayal, whips, nails, pain, and death. If he got on that donkey, he knew that he was going to town for the last time, that he would never see Galilee again. And he got on the donkey anyway. Wow. Friends, we see this confirmed in John 18:14 when Judas and the detachment of soldiers find Jesus in the garden. 18:4, then Jesus, knowing all that was to happen to him, came forward and asked them, "Whom are you looking for?" They answered, "Jesus of Nazareth." Jesus replied, "I am he." He knew he would suffer, and he went anyway. And why? 19th century African-American preacher named Harriet Baker wrote this beautiful description of Jesus looking out over Jerusalem for the last time as he walked with his disciples toward Bethany. Listen to this. On his way out to Bethany, Jesus paused before passing the Ridge of Olives and sat down with his disciples over against the temple to look back upon Jerusalem for the last time. The sun was setting, and the whole city, with the surrounding valleys and the hillsides, which were covered with camps of pilgrims, lay beneath him. In the evening light, the history of 1,000 years, the divine oracle speaking by 1,000 voices, the monuments of prophets, patriarchs, and kings, the visitation of angels, the miraculous interposition in judgment and in blessing by the offering of Isaac and the people building the temple, all of that was presented to him as he looked upon Moriah and Zion, and as he heard the murmur, the evening song of 1 million people gathered within and around the walls of the whole city. Friends, as I imagine Jesus in that setting, I can almost feel, the love emanating off of him, his very being, his love for every person, his desire to be reconciled with every person, regardless of who they were and what they had done. He knew, and he went anyway for love of each one of those people and for love of you. Thanks be to God. May yours be a very holy week.